Balance of nature. The balance of nature refers to the concept that ecological systems are in a natural state of balance, with a stable equilibrium among the populations of various species in an ecosystem, resulting from natural ecological processes such as predation, competition, and succession. However, this concept has been challenged as ecosystems are constantly changing due to natural forces or human activities. The natural environment. The natural environment refers to all living and non-living things that occur naturally on Earth, including animals, plants, air, water, land, and climate. It encompasses all the natural resources and systems that sustain life, such as forests, oceans, rivers, mountains, and deserts. Maintenance and preservation of the natural environment are crucial for the sustainability of life on Earth and for supporting the vast array of species that inhabit it. Terms used to describe a natural environment. Ecology. Ecology is a term used to describe the study of interactions between living organisms and their environment. Ecologists study the natural environment, including the relationships between organisms and their surroundings, in order to understand how ecosystems work and how they respond to changes in the environment. Environment. Environment refers to the natural surroundings in which an organism, population, or community exists, including biotic living, and abiotic non-living, factors such as air, water, soil, climate, and other organisms. It encompasses both natural and human-influenced surroundings and is a critical factor in determining the health and survival of all living things. Environmental factors play a crucial role in everything from the growth of plants to the behavior of animals. See biosphere. The biosphere refers to the part of the Earth's surface and atmosphere where living organisms exist. It includes all living things on Earth, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains, and extends from about 8 kilometers 5 miles, below the Earth's surface to about 8 kilometers above the surface. The biosphere is made up of various ecosystems, which interact with each other and with the physical environment to sustain life on Earth. Biome. A biome is a large, distinct terrestrial region characterized by similar climate, soil, vegetation, and animal life. Biomes are typically classified based on the dominant vegetation type in the region and include categories such as tropical rainforest, temperate deciduous forest, grassland, desert, tundra, and taiga boreal forest. Each biome has its unique set of ecological features, such as dominant plant and animal species as well as specific adaptations for survival in the region's climate and soil type. Ecosystem. An ecosystem refers to a complex community of living organisms biotic interacting with their physical environment abiotic. It includes all the living, plants, animals, microbes, and non-living, water, air, soil, components in a particular area that interact with each other to form a self-sustaining and self-regulating system. Ecosystems can range in size from small ponds to vast forests and oceans and are characterized by energy and nutrient flows among their various components. Community. In ecology, a community refers to all the different populations of species living and interacting with each other within a particular ecosystem or habitat. A community can be made up of many different species from different trophic levels, such as producers plants, consumers animals, and decomposers, bacteria and fungi. The interactions between these species can be competitive e.g., for resources, or cooperative e.g., mutualistic relationships. Understanding the structure and dynamics of communities is essential to studying ecosystems and biodiversity conservation efforts. Components of the environment. The natural environment can be broken down into two key components, biotic and abiotic. 1. Biotic components. Biotic components refer to all living things in the natural environment. This includes plants, animals, microorganisms, and humans. All biotic components have interactions among themselves, such as competition, cooperation, predation, and symbiosis. 2. Abiotic components. Abiotic components refer to all non-living things in the natural environment. This includes air, water, soil, sunlight, temperature, and climate. These factors play crucial roles in shaping the natural environment and determining the distribution of biotic components. Abiotic factors can also be limiting factors that determine the success of various organisms. Abiotic components of the environment. Abiotic components are non-living things in the environment that can affect living organisms. Some examples of abiotic components of the environment include 1. Air, the mixture of gases, including oxygen and nitrogen, that surrounds the Earth's surface. 2. Water, the H2O molecule present in oceans, rivers, lakes, and underground water bodies. 3. Soil, the mixture of minerals and organic matter that supports plant growth. 4. Light, the electromagnetic radiation that sustains plants and helps regulate the behavior of animals. Fig. 3.4, photographic light meter. 5. Temperature, the measure of how hot or cold the air, water, or soil is. Fig. 3.5, maximum and minimum thermometer. 6. Climate, the long-term pattern of weather conditions in a particular area, shaped by factors such as latitude, altitude, ocean currents, and atmospheric circulation. 7. pH, a measure of the acidity or basicity of a substance, such as water or soil, which can affect the survival of various organisms. 8. Nutrients, the chemical elements and compounds that organisms need to grow and function, such as nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus, and potassium. B. Biotic components of the environment. Biotic components refer to all living things in the environment that interact with each other. Biotic components include 1. Producers, the plants, algae, and other autotrophs that can produce their food using energy from the sun through photosynthesis. 2. Consumers, the animals and other heterotrophs that obtain their food by eating other organisms. 3. Decomposers, the bacteria, fungi, and other organisms that break down dead organic matter into simple nutrients that can be recycled in the ecosystem. 4. Predators, the animals that hunt and kill other animals for food. 5. Prey, the animals that are hunted and killed by predators. 6. Symbionts, the two different species that interact for mutual benefit, e.g., lichens. 7. Parasites, the organisms that feed on other organisms but harm their hosts. 8. Mutualists, the species that interact and provide benefits to each other, e.g., pollinators and flowers. All these biotic components are interconnected, and their health and well-being are dependent on the availability of abiotic components in the environment. Importance of natural environment. The natural environment provides numerous benefits to human beings and other living organisms. Here are some of the key reasons why the natural environment is important. 1. Biodiversity. The natural environment supports a vast array of life forms, from the tiniest microorganisms to the largest animals and trees. This biodiversity provides genetic diversity that enables life to adapt and evolve to changing environmental conditions. 2. Oxygen and carbon cycling. The natural environment plays a vital role in producing the oxygen we breathe and absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Trees and other plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. 3. Ecosystem services. Natural ecosystems provide a wide range of services, such as provisioning of food, water, and raw materials, regulating the climate, and providing opportunities for recreation and tourism. 4. Climate stabilization. The natural environment plays a critical role in regulating the Earth's climate by absorbing and storing carbon dioxide, stabilizing local and regional rainfall patterns and reducing the impacts of extreme weather events. 5. Cultural significance. Many cultures have a deep reverence for natural environments like forests, rivers, and mountains, and these environments are often imbued with spiritual or religious significance. 6. Scientific research. Natural environments provide ideal settings for scientists to study the diverse life forms, physical processes, and ecological interactions that shape our planet. These are just a few of the many reasons why the natural environment is important for the well-being of humans and the health of the planet. Ecosystems. An ecosystem refers to a community of living organisms and their abiotic environment, non-living factors, in which they interact with each other to form a dynamic and interdependent system. This system includes all living things' biotic components, such as plants, animals, microorganisms, and their physical surroundings. Abiotic components, such as soil, water, air, and climate. Ecosystems are of different types, ranging from aquatic, terrestrial, and even artificial ecosystems such as gardens, parks, and farms. They can be simple, such as a pond or a small patch of land, or complex, such as a tropical rainforest or a coral reef. Ecosystems perform essential functions, such as sustaining life on Earth, regulating the climate, providing essential natural resources, and recycling nutrients. They also provide numerous ecological services and contribute to the economic and social well-being of humans. However, human activities such as habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, and overharvesting of resources threaten the integrity of ecosystems, and this has a negative impact on the health of both humans and the environment. Thus, it's vital to protect and conserve ecosystems to foster their sustainability and health. Components of an ecological community. An ecological community consists of populations of different species that interact with each other in a specific locality or area. The components of an ecological community include 1. Species. The ecological community is made up of a variety of plant, animal, and microbial species that live in a specific area. 2. Habitat. The area where the ecological community exists is called the habitat. It includes both abiotic non-living and biotic living factors such as soil, water, temperature, climate, and the presence of other organisms. 3. Biotic factors. The biotic factors of an ecological community are the living components that include plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms. They interact with each other in various ways, such as predation, competition, cooperation, and symbiosis. 4. Abiotic factors. The abiotic factors of an ecological community are the non-living components that include air, water, sunlight, soil, temperature, and climate. They influence the survival and distribution of the organisms living in the community. 5. Food chain. The food chain is a sequence of organisms that transfer energy in the form of food from one organism to the other. It includes producers, consumers, and decomposers. 6. Trophic levels. The ecological community is organized into trophic levels that represent a functional role in the food chain. It includes producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. 7. Keystone species. These are the species that play a crucial role in maintaining the stability and balance of the ecological community. All of these components interact with each other to establish a complex and dynamic ecological community. Energy flow in an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, energy flows from the sun to producers and then to consumers in a one-way stream. The energy that is used by organisms in an ecosystem originates from the sun. Therefore, solar radiation is the primary source of energy for all life on Earth. The energy flow in an ecosystem can be represented by a food chain or web. As mentioned earlier, the producers use sunlight to make their food, which is then consumed by herbivores or primary consumers. These herbivores are then in turn consumed by carnivores or secondary consumers. This transfer of energy from one trophic level to another continues until it reaches the top of the food chain, where the top predator is located. During this transfer of energy, energy is lost due to various factors such as respiration, digestion, and heat loss. This loss is significant, and as a result, each level of the food chain has less energy available than the previous level. In fact, only about 10% of the energy from one level is passed to the next level above it. The rest is lost as heat or used for metabolic activities. The energy that is not consumed by consumers is decomposed by decomposers such as bacteria and fungi. They convert organic matter into inorganic substances that can be reused by producers again. This completes the cycle of energy in the ecosystem. Overall, the flow of energy in an ecosystem is essential for the survival and functioning of all living organisms in that ecosystem. Fig. 3.13, Energy flow in the ecosystem. Trophic levels. In ecology, a trophic level refers to the position an organism occupies in a food chain or food web. Each organism in an ecosystem is classified into one of the following trophic levels. 1. Producers. Producers are the first trophic level in an ecosystem, which consists of autotrophic organisms that produce their own food through photosynthesis. Examples of producers include green plants, algae, and some bacteria. 2. Primary consumers. These are herbivores that consume producers as their primary source of energy and nutrients. Examples of primary consumers include grazing animals such as rabbits, deer, and zebras. 3. Secondary consumers. These are carnivores that feed on primary consumers as their primary source of energy and nutrients. Examples of secondary consumers include predators such as lions, tigers, and wolves. 4. Tertiary consumers. These are carnivores that feed on secondary consumers as their primary source of energy and nutrients. Examples of tertiary consumers include predators such as eagles and snakes. 5. Decomposers. These are organisms that break down dead organic matter and recycle the nutrients back into the soil or water. Examples of decomposers include bacteria and fungi. Overall, trophic levels show the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to the next as they interact in an ecosystem. Each trophic level is dependent on the trophic level below it for its energy and nutrient needs, and therefore, any changes in one trophic level can impact the entire ecosystem. Revision exercise 3.1. 1. Define the following terms. A. Environment. B. Ecosystem. C. Community. A environment refers to the physical, chemical, biological, and social conditions that are necessary for the survival and development of living organisms, including humans. B. Ecosystem is a community of living organisms, along with their physical abiotic environment, interacting as a system. Ecosystems are characterized by the flow of energy and cycling of matter through the biotic living, and abiotic non-living, components. See, community is a group of interacting populations of different species living in the same area or ecosystem at the same time. Communities are characterized by their composition, diversity, and trophic structure, and they play a crucial role in shaping the structure and function of ecosystems. 2. Give 4 importances of wind. Here are 4 important roles of wind in nature and human society. 1. Seed and pollen dispersal. Wind plays a critical role in the dispersal of seeds and pollen for many plant species. This allows for the establishment of new populations and the genetic diversity needed for adaptation to changing environmental conditions. 2. Weather patterns and climate. Wind is an important factor in shaping weather patterns and global climate. Wind currents drive ocean currents and redistribute heat and moisture across the planet, playing a critical role in regulating temperature, rainfall, and other weather events. 3. Energy generation. Wind is a valuable source of renewable energy, with wind turbines harnessing the kinetic energy of wind to generate electricity. Wind power is a clean alternative to fossil fuels and is becoming increasingly popular as a sustainable energy source. 4. Transportation. Wind-powered transportation has been used for thousands of years through sailing ships and kites. Even today, some cultures utilize wind-powered vehicles like sailboats for transportation. 3. State the competitive exclusion principle and describe it. The competitive exclusion principle states that 2 or more species that occupy the same ecological niche cannot coexist in the same place at the same time if resource availability is limited. One species will eventually outcompete the others for the shared resources, leading to the local extinction of the weaker competitors. This principle is based on the idea that resources are finite, and each species has physiological and behavioral adaptations that allow it to access and utilize these resources in specific ways. When the resources are limited, a species that is better adapted to exploit them will have a higher rate of reproduction, survival, and overall fitness than its competitors. Over time, this advantage will either drive the weaker competitors to extinction or force them to adapt to a different niche where they can coexist with the other species. The competitive exclusion principle is a significant factor in shaping the structure and diversity of communities and ecosystems. It helps to explain why different species tend to occupy distinct niches and how they remain relatively stable over long periods, even in the face of environmental fluctuations and other perturbations. 4. What instrument is used to measure? A. Wind direction. B. Light intensity. C. Humidity. D. Rainfall. Describe it. A. Wind direction is commonly measured using a device called a wind vane or a weather vane. Wind vanes consist of a vertical rod with a flat plate or arrow-shaped vane attached to the top at a right angle. The vane rotates freely in response to the wind, and the direction of the wind is indicated by the orientation of the vane relative to true north or another reference direction. B. Light intensity is typically measured using a device called a lux meter or a light meter. These instruments consist of a photodiode or a photovoltaic cell that generates an electrical current in response to the incoming light. The current is proportional to the intensity of the light, and it is usually measured in units of lux or foot candles. C. Humidity is often measured using a device called a hygrometer. There are different types of hygrometers, including psychrometers, which compare the temperatures of wet and dry thermometers, and capacitive or resistive hygrometers, which measure changes in the electrical properties of certain materials in response to changes in humidity. The readings are typically expressed as a percentage of the maximum water vapor that the air can hold at a given temperature. D. Rainfall is commonly measured using a device called a rain gauge or a pluviometer. These instruments are designed to collect and measure precipitation, including rain, snow, and hail, as it falls from the sky. They typically consist of a funnel-shaped collector that channels the precipitation into a container, and a graduated cylinder or a scale that allows for the accurate measurement of the water volume or depth. The readings are usually expressed in units of millimeters or inches of rainwater. 5. What are the differences between predation and parasitism? Predation and parasitism are both forms of ecological interactions between species, but they differ in key ways. 1. Effect on the host. Predation involves a predator killing and consuming its prey, while parasitism involves a parasite living on or within a host organism, usually without killing it outright, at least, not immediately. 2. Mode of feeding. Predators are usually free-living organisms that hunt and consume their prey externally, while parasites are often small, often microscopic organisms that feed on the host's tissue, blood, or other fluids, often from inside the host. 3. Relationship between the interacting species. Predators and prey usually have a relatively short-term relationship, where the predator benefits by obtaining food, and the prey suffers. In contrast, parasites and their hosts often have a long-term, intimate, and co-evolved relationship, where both parties may benefit or suffer to varying degrees. 4. Size of the predator-parasite relative to prey-host. Predators are typically larger than their prey, while parasites are typically smaller than their hosts. 5. Resulting population dynamics. Predation can regulate the population sizes of both predator and prey, while parasitism may not necessarily reduce host population size unless it is particularly severe. Overall, predation and parasitism are both important ecological interactions, but they differ in terms of the effect on the host, mode of feeding, relationship between the species, size relative to the prey or host, and resulting population dynamics.